A love written in the rain. The city of Lakeside was always alive with noise. But for Noah Turner, a 27-year-old musician, the world often felt silent. His life was filled with unfinished songs, half-played melodies, and dreams that never found their stage. One rainy evening, while rushing to a small cafe with his guitar case, Noah collided with someone at the door. Papers scattered everywhere, ink smudging as raindrops fell. "I'm so sorry," Noah exclaimed, bending down to pick up the soaked sheets. The girl laughed softly. "Well, I suppose my poetry is ruined." Her name was Isabella Lane, a literature student who carried the world in her notebooks. She had kind eyes, like windows to a soul that loved too deeply. That brief encounter lasted only minutes, but it planted a seed that neither of them could ignore. Days later, Noah saw Isabella again at the cafe. She was sitting in the corner, sipping coffee, scribbling verses. Gathering courage, he approached. "You're the poet with the ruined pages," he smiled. "And you're the musician with the clumsy footsteps," she replied playfully. They talked for hours about books, songs, dreams. Noah played his guitar softly while Isabella read her poetry. It was as if music and words were born to meet. From then on, the cafe became their little universe. One evening, Isabella asked, "Why do you always write songs but never finish them?" Noah hesitated. "Because I never had the right muse. Maybe. I was waiting for someone like you." Her cheeks flushed. She didn't reply, but her smile was enough. They began meeting outside the cafe walks in the rain. Visits to the lakeside, late-night phone calls that stretched until dawn. Slowly, love bloomed, though neither dared to confess. During the annual Book and Music Festival in Lakeside, Noah was invited to perform. Nervous, he almost backed out, but Isabella pushed him forward. On stage, Noah strummed his guitar and began singing a song he had finally finished. Every lyric was about Isabella. The way her laughter was brighter than sunshine. The way her words healed like poetry. When he finished, the crowd applauded, but Noah's eyes searched only for Isabella's. She stood frozen, tears in her eyes. After the show, she ran to him. "Noah, that was for me." He nodded, his heart pounding. "I love you, Isabella. I think I always have." She cupped his face, whispering, "I love you too." Their first kiss tasted of rain and promises. But love is never without storms. Isabella's father, a strict businessman, disapproved of their relationship. "A musician's life is unstable. She deserves security, not uncertainty," he told her. At the same time, Noah received an offer to tour with a band across Europe. It was his dream come true yet.
The old railway station of Riverside Town was almost always empty, except for the sound of trains passing and birds resting on the wires. But on Sunday evenings, a mysterious tune often floated across the platform, soft, aching, and beautiful. Elena Hayes, a 25-year-old painter, had heard it many times. It wasn't a song she recognized, yet every note touched her soul like a memory she couldn't place. One evening, determined to find the source, she followed the music. In the corner of the station sat a young man with tousled hair, playing a violin as if the world depended on it. His eyes were closed, his face carved with silent pain. When he stopped, Elena whispered, "That melody. It feels like it's calling me." The stranger opened his eyes. "Maybe it is. Music always finds who?" Adrian hesitated. "Because I lost someone who believed in my music. Without her, the stage felt empty." Elena felt a pain in her chest but didn't press further. Instead, she said, "Then let me believe in it, Adrian. Let me be your audience." Something in his guarded heart shifted that day. One rainy night, while helping Adrian pack his violin, Elena accidentally found an old letter in his case. She hesitated but couldn't resist reading. It was from Clara, Adrian's fiancée who had passed away in a tragic accident 2 years ago. She had written, "Promise me, if I ever leave, you won't stop playing. Let the world hear our love through your music." Elena returned the letter silently. That night, she couldn't sleep. She realized why Adrian's songs were filled with sorrow. They were lullabies for a love lost in time. But she also knew that life had brought her to him for a reason. Weeks later, at the annual Riverside Art and Music Festival, Elena displayed her paintings, each one inspired by Adrian's melodies. He stood frozen, staring at the colors that spoke his soul. "You turned my music into light," Adrian whispered. "And you turned my silence into songs," Elena replied. That night, under lanterns and music, she finally confessed, "Adrian, I love you. I know your heart belongs to the past, but maybe there's room for me too." For the first time in years, Adrian smiled genuinely. "Elena, you are the melody I thought I had forgotten, and now I don't want to let it go." Their lips met, not as strangers bound by fate, but as two souls who had finally found home. Life didn't erase the past, but together they began a new symphony. Elena painted brighter skies, while Adrian played to fuller crowds. Every time he stood on stage, he looked for her in the audience, knowing she was the reason he could play again. And every painting she created carried the echo of his violin, as if their love had blended into a masterpiece neither time nor loss could erase. They were not perfect. They were not without scars, but together, they had found what Clara's letter had asked for: love carried through music, love reborn in color. The whispers of the forgotten melody had become a song of forever. The rain had just begun to fall over the sleepy little town of Glenwood. The streets glistened as though they were painted in silver, and the scent of wet earth filled the air. For Emma, the rain was always a reminder of new beginnings. She stood by the window of her favorite cafe, sipping her coffee, when her eyes caught a familiar face. It was Daniel Carter. Daniel had been her childhood friend, the boy who once shared his umbrella with her in school, the boy who always carried a notebook filled with sketches and dreams. They had lost touch over the years, life pulling them in different directions. Yet, as he stepped into the cafe that evening, it felt as if time had folded back on itself. Their eyes met. For a second, silence swallowed the noise around them. Daniel smiled, hesitant but warm, the kind of smile that still had the power to melt Emma's carefully built walls. "Emma," he asked, his voice carrying both surprise and disbelief. "Daniel, it's been years," she whispered. They sat together, catching up on lost time. Daniel had become an architect, building homes that carried pieces of his soul in every design. Emma, on the other hand, had turned into a writer, her novels filled with characters who longed for the kind of love she once believed in but never found. As the rain fell harder outside, something unspoken began to stir between them. Their laughter filled the cafe, soft and genuine, like two melodies weaving into one. Emma noticed the way Daniel looked at hers, though she was a chapter he had been waiting to revisit. That night, Daniel walked her home, just like he used to in their school days. The streets were empty, but their hearts were crowded with emotions they didn't dare confess. Before leaving, Daniel handed her a small sketch he had drawn on a napkin. It was of her standing by the cafe window. The night before his departure, they met by the lake where they used to play as children. The moonlight shimmered on the water, casting silver trails that seemed to lead into forever. "I don't want to lose you again," Daniel confessed, his voice breaking. "Then don't," Emma whispered, her eyes brimming with tears. Daniel cupped her face in his hands, and for the first time, their lips met. The kiss was not just of passion, but of years lost, of memories unspoken, and of promises yet to be written. When they parted, Daniel pressed his forehead against hers. "No matter where I go, Emma, you'll always be my home." She couldn't speak, for her heart was too full, but she knew deep inside that their love would endure every storm, every distance, and every test of time. Months later, Emma received a letter. It was Daniel. Inside the envelope was a plane ticket and a note. Home is not a place, Emma. It's a person. Come write our story with me. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she read the words. She knew in that moment that love had found her again, not in fairy tales, but in the whispers of the heart that had been calling out all along. The train station was crowded, filled with the sound of rolling suitcases, loudspeakers announcing arrivals, and the hurried footsteps of travelers. Among them stood Sophia, clutching a faded envelope in her hand. The letter was 10 years old, yet its ink still carried the warmth of the boy who had once written it. She had been only 17 when she first met Ethan. He was quiet, a boy who preferred sketching the world around him instead of talking about it. They would sit for hours beneath the willow tree near the old library, she with her notebook of poems, he with his pencil and sketchbook. One summer evening, as the sun dipped low and the fireflies began to glow, Ethan had handed her a folded paper. If we're ever lost to time, Sophia, he said softly, follow this letter. It will bring you back to me. But fate was cruel. His family moved abroad unexpectedly, and Sophia never saw him again. She kept the letter all these years, unopened, afraid of what it might say. Now, standing at the station where the letter had instructed her to be on this very date, she wondered if she had been foolish to believe. Her heart pounded as she finally unfolded the letter. 10 years from now, on the 14th of March. Come to Verona Station at sunset. I will be there, waiting under the clock tower. If you come, I'll know our love was real. Tears blurred her eyes. She glanced up at the giant clock. The hands pointed to 6:55 p.m., 5 minutes to go. She almost laughed at herself. What if he never came? What if this was just a dream she had clung to for too long? But her legs refused to move. And then she saw him. Ethan. He stood beneath the clock tower, taller now, older, yet unmistakably the same boy she had loved. His sketchbook was in his hand, and when their eyes met, the years dissolved in an instant. Sophia, he whispered, stepping forward. His voice cracked with emotion. You came. She let out a trembling laugh. Of course I did. Did you really wait all these years? His smile was sad but full of devotion. Every day, I drew your face 1,000 times, hoping I'd see you again. This station, it became my cathedral of hope. Her tears fell freely now. She reached for his sketchbook, flipping through the pages. Her breath caught every drawing was of her. Her smile, her eyes, even the way she tilted her head when she was lost in thought. Ethan, she whispered, what if I hadn't come? He took her hand, pressing it gently against his chest where his heart beat steady and strong. Then I would have still loved you quietly in every sunrise and every shadow. But now that you're here, I don't ever want to let go. The clock struck 7. The world around them seemed to pause. And as the final rays of sunlight bathed the station in gold, Sophia leaned into him. Their kiss was soft, trembling, yet filled with the certainty of forever. The last letter had not been an ending. It was the beginning of everything they had been waiting for.